For 11 years, I was the quiet current running beneath Ironvale Dynamics, the unseen force that kept every server humming and every invoice flowing, while executives upstairs collected bonuses for a stability they never once understood or maintained themselves. Then came Priya Ashcombe, a woman who married into the founder's family after a whirlwind courtship at a wellness retreat in Sedona, and who arrived at her first executive briefing wearing a headset microphone and declaring that our entire company was allergic to disruption, as though a decade of uninterrupted uptime were something to be ashamed of rather than the quiet miracle it actually was. Priya's promotion to Chief Transformation Officer came 3 weeks after her wedding to Julian Wexford, the founder's only son, and it arrived with a title so vague that nobody in the building could explain what she actually did beyond hosting motivational live streams from the executive lounge. She used words like synergized velocity and frictionless ecosystems while standing in front of slide decks clearly lifted from someone else's conference talk. And when she toured the server room for the first time, she asked, with total sincerity, why we still needed all these humming boxes if everything could just live in the cloud like her photos did. I said nothing during that tour, the same way I'd said nothing for years while quietly rerouting failed backups at 2 in the morning and patching security holes that nobody upstairs even knew existed, because survival in that building had always meant being indispensable rather than visible. But invisibility, I would soon learn, is a currency that stops paying dividends the moment someone decides your face doesn't match their vision board. And 2 days after Priya's infamous, clean slate all-hands meeting, a bare calendar invite titled Quick Sync HR appeared on my screen with the chilling efficiency of an eviction notice. I walked into that meeting already knowing what waited for me, and I found Priya perched on the corner of the HR director's desk like she was posing for a magazine profile about disruptive young executives, her smile radiating the practiced warmth of someone reciting lines she'd rehearsed in a mirror. We're streamlining certain legacy positions to align with our forward vision, she said, sliding a folder across the desk without quite meeting my eyes, and when she added that they'd always valued my dedication, I almost laughed at how thoroughly she'd memorized the vocabulary of severance without absorbing a single ounce of its meaning. I signed nothing that afternoon except the receipt of my own belongings, and as I clipped my badge onto the table like a chess piece conceding a match it had already secretly won, I told her calmly that the systems she'd inherited were held together by scripts and safeguards that existed nowhere in the company's official documentation, all of them written under my own name, on my own time, protected by an intellectual property clause that Priya herself had signed without reading months earlier. She blinked, confused, the way people do when a threat arrives wrapped in complete politeness, and I simply thanked the HR director, gathered my coat, and walked out into the ordinary gray light of a Tuesday afternoon that felt anything but ordinary to me. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I found a small cafe 2 blocks from the Ironvale Tower, ordered a coffee I didn't really want, and sat by the window where I could watch the glowing rectangle of the 11th floor like a lighthouse I no longer had any obligation to maintain. My phone buzzed once, twice, then a flood of messages from old colleagues who still had no idea I was gone, and I felt something between guilt and grim satisfaction settle into my chest as I realized that somewhere above me, quietly and invisibly, the countdown on every safeguard I'd built had already begun. The first cracks appeared within the hour. The vendor payment portal started rejecting authenticated logins. The automated fraud detection layer I'd built from scratch stopped renewing its security certificates, and the customer support queue that once averaged a 4-minute response time ballooned into an unanswerable wall of angry tickets. Priya, according to the frantic messages now lighting up my old team's group chat, had marched into the server room in her tailored blazer and stood there helplessly, arms crossed, asking a bewildered contractor from an outsourced IT firm why the cloud thing wasn't fixing itself, blissfully unaware that there had never been a magic cloud, only years of patient, unglamorous engineering that she dismissed as clutter. By mid-afternoon, the company's biggest logistics client, a regional distributor that routed nearly 40% of its shipments through Ironvale systems, issued a public statement about unexpected service disruptions. And within minutes, someone on social media had already connected the dots, commenting bluntly, "Didn't they just let go the person who built all this?" Meanwhile, Julian's father, the founder himself, stormed down from the executive suite demanding answers from a woman who suddenly couldn't distinguish a server rack from a router. And when a junior technician quietly admitted that the person who understood all of this doesn't work here anymore, the silence that followed was, by every account I later heard, absolutely deafening. Word spread quickly that the deleted compliance archive, the one Priya had once called vendor noise and ordered wiped to save storage space, had actually survived because I'd quietly mirrored it to an encrypted backup 2 years earlier. A decision that now meant every ignored warning and every dismissed report I'd filed sat perfectly time-stamped and ready for legal discovery. Lawyers descended on the wreckage like a change in weather, and it didn't take them long to uncover a message Priya had sent weeks earlier, dismissing an expired vendor contract as unimportant paperwork. A message that would soon become the centerpiece of a shareholder inquiry into her judgment, and the founder's decision to hand her the keys to a kingdom she never understood. That evening, an encrypted video call request appeared in my inbox from Priya herself, and out of curiosity more than compassion I accepted it, watching her appear on screen without her usual polish, hair pulled back, eyes red from exhaustion. "I didn't respect what you built," she admitted quietly, asking if there was any way I could help her undo the damage before the board convened an emergency session. And I told her, with more calm than I actually felt, that some fires are lit by the very people who insist on carrying the torch, and that this one was hers to put out or be consumed by. 3 months later, I sat in a sunlit office at Solvera Technologies, a company that had recruited me not with vague titles, but with a simple question: what tools did I need to do my best work? And I found myself finally surrounded by people who asked questions before making decisions instead of after. I heard, secondhand and without seeking it out, that Priya had quietly stepped down from Ironvale amid an ongoing shareholder lawsuit, that the founder's public reputation had taken a lasting hit, and that the tower where I'd once worked invisibly for over a decade now sat with dimmed floors, and a company scrambling to rebuild the very foundation it had once so carelessly dismissed as disposable. If this story resonated with you, know that the quietest people in any room are often the ones holding everything together, and that real power rarely needs to announce itself to be felt when it finally walks away. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.